All right. Hello, hello. We're back. House in Fata Morgana again tonight. Uh, I was going to say it's not been that long since we played this, but it actually has been a little bit of time. It's just that there for a while we weren't playing it at all, so it seems a lot shorter this time. But excited to get back to it, of course. If you're new here, I'm Kels. You're going to hear me talk a lot. So, yeah, let's just recap. Okay, so last time, Jacopo told Gratia not to tell Maria and the others about Jaren's betrayal. In the interlude, someone spared Jaren after killing her parents, and she kept following him innocently even after they made a game of trying to drive her away with monstrous acts. After they figured out her name, they got creeped out by her and sold her off. The family that bought Jaren got attached, but the wife was also freaked out by her inability to feel negativity and tried to teach her emotions, but all she learned was how to fake it. A prostitute recalled Barnier's slaved gladiator matches turned into blood banquets. She saw Jaren get popular at Barnier's until the customers got creeped out too, and Jaren never genuinely changes from her lessons. Barnier started killing the prostitutes, and Jaren's brothel sent her under pressure. She won his favor and fell in love with him because he let her be her insane self, so she stayed and let her manager die. Barnier shared his story of ascent to lordship with Jaren and made her his spy. And Barnier's old advisor Odilon offered to mentor Jacopo and told him to claim he's the real Jean-Francois for PR reasons, and Maria blames Gratian for Jacopo's rise. Yeah, so now we're in the after effects of everything, and we know that it kind of just goes all downhill from here, which is not going to be great. Can't wait for that. I'm very disappointed. Like, not only are we not getting any more Morgana, we're not getting any more Jaren, and I'm gonna guess we're gonna get a lot less Maria. So let's see how this goes. Let's see how much my heart breaks. Jacopo, you did best when you were surrounded by women. I don't know how to tell you this. You just need to be surrounded by women at all times. After giving me just enough time to recover, Odilon quickly got to work instructing me in everything I needed to know to be a lord. Yeah, that's fair. Next time we see Morgana, she'll probably be missing an arm. I hate that. Ugh, I wasn't thinking about that. My first priority was to revitalize the city, cleaning up the mess my predecessor had left it in. As much as I wanted to ensure that everyone had food and water, it simply wasn't possible to make happen overnight. We would need to significantly expand our farmland, build additional granaries, repair existing irrigation canals, and not to mention crack down on the crime and disorder. There was so much to do, it was almost dizzying, but the last thing I had time to do was whine. You don't have anyone to whine to, man. You've just basically thrown them all away. Exactly. That's why the universe kept forcing him to be a harem anime protagonist. Things get so much worse when he isn't one. Born to be a harem anime protagonist, forced to be a lord. That said, none of it could happen with a snap of the fingers. It would take time and manpower, which meant we would have to use existing stores in the meantime. I asked the people, particularly among the upper class, to relinquish ownership of their stockpiles for me to redistribute among the population. I can't imagine that went well. That would allow everyone to make it through the transitional period, I figured. Naturally, though, not everyone was happy with the arrangement. But the cries of dissatisfaction were drowned out by cheers of support when I explained that it was for everyone's sake, that we would need to band together to carry the whole city through what would be a rocky transition. As I was patting myself on the back for a job well done, Odilon shook his head and said, "'Twill hold a year at most." We have enough stores to last at least 3 years, though. 2 if we want to be extra safe. They will set your manor ablaze long before the stores run dry. Excuse me? Why would they? I'm obviously doing everything in my power to revitalize the city, and I was the one who freed them from the claws of the tyrant. Yeah, Jacopo, people have very short memories when it comes to shit like this. Like, come on, man. The people see only the results. Though they accept your promises of improvement now, if, in a year's time, they do not see those words bear fruit, their trust in you will wither away. That you came from the slums is viewed now as a heroic rise to power, but your past will soon be turned against you, used to delegitimize you. You must produce for them tangible results. God, I knew this wouldn't be easy, but still. It boils my blood to think to think my predecessor sat around on his ass all day. Did he even accomplish anything in his entire time as the Lord? I can think of only one truly positive effect of his regime. His support for the arts. Okay, what arts? Because blood banquets aren't exactly what I would call arts. It's painting in the worst possible way. His what? Surely you've seen the numerous pieces of art adorning this manor's walls. He would often treat himself with works from the finest artists and artisans in the land. Oh, you mean all those paintings and vases and fancy drapes? Bunch of worthless junk, every last bit of it. None of it will do anything to fill the people's empty stomachs. 'Twould seem you understand not the value of art. Well, I did grow up in the slums. Do you know what purpose art serves? To make you feel better? It's nice to have around, but not much more than that. Bribes, my boy. Oh, well, I guess that's one way to think of art. Exactly. Great culture. Too bad none of it is accessible to the starving public. It's okay. We're also not going to make it accessible to the starving public because I was thinking, wow, let's open a museum, not let's bribe people with it. So, those who hunger for power similarly hunger for ways to flaunt it, and the singularity of a piece of art fills that role. Some have a genuine appreciation for art, others merely use it as a tool. But nonetheless, skilled craftsmen, artists, and their work naturally gravitate towards those with power. 'Twould be wise for you to consider dressing somewhat less pedestrian soon. Now, we should be able to put the former lord's possessions to good use in helping you build up valuable relationships. You mean start handing out bribes? Indeed. But remember, they are negotiation tools. You must use them where they provide you the greatest returns. Huh. Negotiation, huh? Alright, I think I see what you're getting at. If I want to revitalize the city in a year, I'm going to need help from my good neighbors. In exchange for provisions and workers, I offer the various count's pieces from Barnier's collection. Sound about right? Precisely. My, you are much cleverer than I would have expected from a man from the slums. Okay, wow, that was just a backhanded compliment. There we go. This is just Odilon making us invest in his mid-level marketing scam. Exactly. Now, if only you would become accustomed to this manner of thinking, you could become a fine leader in short order. You're not going to, but, we kind of know how this one ends. I appreciate the concern, old man. I will dispatch messengers and arrange meetings with the Count so we can begin anon. And I hope I do not have to remind you, but you will need to be very careful with your words, Lord Barnier. Yeah, I know. Hating this whole Lord Barnier thing. I know, I get it, but also, fuck that. You seem quite tired, Lord Barnier. You think? Every day I have to go meet with someone new, and I spend all my travel time learning how to read and write. It's enough to exhaust anyone. 'Tis necessary, nonetheless. Illiteracy will only... Yeah, I know. You said I look tired, and I'm telling you why that is. I never said I had a problem with it. I overstepped. My apologies. Your diligence has been invaluable in earning the Count's favor, Lord Barnier. They think quite fondly of you. Is that so? Because that's certainly not the impression I'm getting. They put on a facade of friendliness, but beneath the surface, they're all laughing, trying to figure out how to best use me, or just outright scoffing. Not a one of them sincerely trusts me. I'm just a pawn to them. Jacopo, what did you think you were going to be? Like, innocent question here. How did you actually think this was going to work? Because, unless you were going to go in there with an army that you don't have, that was how it was always going to be. There we go. Now wear this Barnier mask while we do it. Just pretend to be the former lord. See, we're going about this all wrong. What we should have done is, wear him as a skin suit. and just like changed everything. Then we don't have to worry about this whole legitimacy thing. I don't like we didn't necessarily go in there with an army. We went in there with the slums. And it just like it was enough people to kind of be an army. So it worked because it was revolution on a very small scale. I don't think that group is going to be traveling at all. So we are all pieces on one another's boards. What's that supposed to mean? 'Twould be most prudent to consider that unqualified friendship simply does not exist in high society. All interpersonal relationships are built upon a foundation of mutual benefit, save for exceedingly rare, short-lived exceptions. Nonetheless, you should not consider being used as a bad thing. We all climb atop each other's boards, offering ourselves up as a powerful piece. And so do they offer themselves to us. Should you wish to survive in high society, you must always ensure your peers see you as a piece worth playing. That would mean you're putting yourself out there as well, old man. Indeed, I am your pawn, Lord Barnier. I offer myself to you, and in your using me, I gain this position as consul to the Lord. 'Tis a far more practical and reliable system than one founded on something so uncertain as emotion, would you not say? Which is to say, I'm a pawn to him as much as he is to me. I suppose so. Then I too will have to ensure that I remain useful, lest I be swept aside and another Barnier brought in to take my place. Sharp words, my lord. But worry not, for I have no qualms with your performance at present. Now, Lord Barnier, we must discuss your next... Hold on a sec, would ya? Yes, sir. Do you mind not calling me Lord Barnier in private? I can understand why you'd want to keep up the charade even when no one's looking, but frankly, I'm just not comfortable with it. Very well. Then, my lord, it shall be. Can't say I'm surprised he won't use my real name. But still. Yeah, that'll do. Thank you. Not at all. Now back to business, my lord. It took long enough, but we're finally starting to see some real progress. Who knew negotiation was so much work? You should be proud of your accomplishments, my lord. 'Tis hardly an easy feat to amass that much manpower and resources in only 6 months. Doing better than expected, huh? How's public opinion looking? Reports should be coming in by now, I assume. Some dissatisfaction, but numbers are within expectations. Dissatisfied? With what? I've spent every waking moment these past 6 months working my ass off to revitalize the city, and people aren't happy with that? They should be jumping with joy. That dissatisfied one is Maria, and she wants you to come home. My lord, you must understand that it is impossible to satisfy everyone. A degree of discontent is to be expected. Even so, it should be blindingly obvious how much better I'm doing than that previous basket of rainbows and kittens. All is forgotten on the gentle ebb and flow of time. Past injustices matter little in the face of the present. It hasn't even been a year! The people do not genuinely care about you, nor will they ever. They may sing your praises one day and forget about you the next. I believe we have been through this before. Surely there's someone out there who gets it. That is wishful thinking, my lord. You could work yourself to your very bones, and the people would merely see you as fulfilling your duty. You must not seek their approval. More will be expected of you, and more will you be the subject of undeserved resentment, for the simple reason that you exist in a position of power. Only those in a similar position can understand your hardships. Ultimately, then, you have two choices. Either dedicate yourself in service of your people, or mercilessly exploit them like your predecessor. I won't follow in that bastard's footsteps. I pray your heart remains true, that you remain a wise and caring lord. Damn it. So what specifically aren't people happy about? The foremost is food shortages. I mean, fair. Like, if people aren't getting enough to eat, yeah, it happens. This was anticipated, and all we can do is ask them to persevere. The second comes from the upper class. Of course it does. Go on. They are, quite naturally, displeased about being made to surrender their stockpiles. 'Twould be prudent to offer them remuneration in the near future. They're doing well enough for themselves already. My lord? I know, just letting off some steam. So I get to go butter up all the rich men in town. Wonderful. The whole idea was to help the less well-off, yet here I am. I understand that you are not pleased about this, my lord, but do remember you have more to fear from a few of the upper class banding together than the entirety of the slums. For they wield a most troublesome weapon, an upper class upbringing. They know precisely who to tell and what to tell about you to tarnish your reputation in the blink of an eye. And do not placate yourself by thinking the common man will see through the attempts to undermine you. Even if they did, an unlikely supposition, they could do nothing to counter it. They are powerless. But it was the people at the bottom who pulled most of the weight organizing and executing the revolution. 'Twas an exceptional set of circumstances that allowed the revolution to take place as it did, not the least of which was the Lord's status as unequivocally evil in the eyes of the people. That's a really hard word for Elmo today. There we go, Maria over here like, the bed's cold without you in it. But we never slept together. Yeah, but it still feels cold. Look, Maria is all alone now, and I hate thinking that. Like, she lost most of her fellow prostitutes in the raid. She lost Morgana. She lost Sharon. And now she loses Jacopo. Like, who does she have left? Gratian? There we go. We use the threat of our peasant revolution to make them back down if they keep whining about us taxing them. I think the concern here is not necessarily internally, it's externally, right? Because, like, we have legitimacy, but there is a lord above us, I think, if I have understood, like, the power structure here, that could very easily take us out if the rest of the big lords, banded together. So, why? All 5 little lords band together and become one big lord. You will not find them all agreeing on anything so readily now. All right, I get it. The point is, I gotta win over all the rich people or my whole operation's gonna come to a grinding halt, right? So as much as it rubs me the wrong way, I'll do what I have to do. A wise decision, my lord. Is that the last of the complaints? No. The influx of immigrants has caused an increase in general unrest. Of course it has. I bring them in to help with the restoration effort, and they go and cause their own new set of problems. It's like I'm chasing my tail here. So long as there are people under your authority, never will you be completely free of strife. You're telling me. So would increasing the guards' presence in the city help keep the peace? Most of those with the training necessary are already deployed, meaning you would need to have new guards trained from the ground up. You will have to mobilize them where they are most needed. In other words, tighten your grip on the slums. So now I've got to take away their freedom? I know you have a personal attachment to that area, my lord. But you must cast that aside. No longer are you the man you once were. The slum should have never been allowed to fall into such lawlessness in the first place. You will merely be restoring it to its proper state. If you truly wish to bring prosperity to this land, you must eventually scale down and then eliminate the slums. But if I get rid of the slums, I'll be getting rid of their home. My lord, I know. I understand what you're getting at, and I understand everything you're saying is perfectly logical. Can we hold off on that for a bit? A bunch of guys down there formed this peacekeeper group to, keep the peace. They'd gladly help out if we could talk to them, I'm sure. We can scale up our patrols, but no stepping on their toes. Got it? As you command, my lord. There we go. Oh, the immigrants aren't actually causing any more problems than the natives. People just hate outsiders. That's, like, always what it is, let's be honest. Oh, we're in our little lord gear. Like, what is that? Is that a scarf? Is it a blankie? What is that over his shoulder? Hard to believe it's been a whole year. Feels like I only just started yesterday, but also like I've been doing this forever. You are looking somewhat worse for wear, my lord. Do I? Oh, am I kidding? You're right. On the other hand, you don't look like you've even lost an hour of sleep this entire year. Goes to show how inexperienced I really am. While it is true that I have been in this position for many years, I also do not bear nearly as much responsibility as you. I merely stand in the background and offer you small pieces of advice. All the while, you face the crowds directly, negotiate with counts, make dozens of difficult decisions. If there is one thing I have learned in all my years, it is that I could never begin to imagine the weight of a ruler must carry. There we go. Can we just house the homeless? And spend money on those who don't have it already? Unthinkable. Duh. See, what I don't understand here is the slums were responsible for the revolution. So you would think with that, even though we're from the slums, like we could have brought some people up with us to kind of help us with this effort. And had like shit like diplomats and helpers from the slums, like Gratian and Maria. And for some reason, Jacopo did not do any of that. So, all this to say, sorry, Jacopo, I know what you did, but I would not have done that, and I'm different, sorry. Yeah, that would make sense if Oolong cut them off. I don't like it, but never mind one who was never raised to take the throne and thrust themselves into the labyrinth of politics and high society. 'Twould be a greater surprise if the trials had not taken their toll. That reminds me, Barnier was lord for a full decade before we took him out, wasn't he? And as I recall, he wasn't much of a despot early on. If just 1 year has taken this much out of me, how much longer before I'm no longer able to act like a reasonable human being? No, don't think like that, Jacopo. Actually, forget it. What matters is that we seem to be doing a good job minimizing discontent. Indeed, you've successfully made it through the first year. The city is decidedly more presentable than it was when you first took the throne. There are a precious few who could replicate your accomplishments in such a short time, my lord. You would do well to take pride in your work. Pushing to do everything so quickly has taken its toll. The people are worn thin, slaves are dying by the droves. Maybe we could get rid of slavery while we're at it, you know? You know how we were going to axe the slums? Can we do slavery first, maybe? There we go. You'll lose it around the time that the swordsman reunites you with Morgana. I have a feeling we're going to lose it before that, so... I still have a ways to go before there's anything I can be proud of. Slaves are the tools of progress, my lord. Tools do not last forever and must be replaced regularly. And you can't build a house with your bare hands, I get it. You learn quickly. Not even a year ago, I would have been up in arms about the number of slaves dying. But now they're just numbers to me. Apparently, my worldview has changed quite a bit. It is about time we started considering our next step. Meaning your efforts thus far have been merely towards repairing the damage caused by your predecessor. You make it sound like this has all just been warm-up. My apologies. I did not mean to discount your great efforts, my lord. I was simply speaking of the grander scheme. Yeah, I got that. You want to settle on a direction for how to grow the city, right? Indeed. The status quo is vastly inadequate for bringing prosperity to this land, and there is no saying when the surrounding territories may cease being so friendly, and set their eyes upon conquering us. But of course, you cannot keep your eyes trained outward in fear of attack and allow the land to devour itself from the inside either. So, what you're saying is, it's a balancing act. Precisely. So, what kind of advancements do I want to pursue? There is something that's been on my mind. This land is ill-suited to growing crops. When I lived down in the slums, I had no perspective and figured what we produced here was no different than anywhere else. But now I know better. The grapes used for our wine are miserable compared to what I've been served elsewhere, as is nearly everything else we grow. I can only assume the land itself is to blame. The wine from the south is indeed exceptional. You quite nearly gave me a heart attack when you leapt from your chair in the middle of a meeting, shouting, "This is nothing like the wine from home." Enough! That never happened! It was my first time tasting anything like it, all right? Anyone would have had the same reaction. You've grown much, but nevertheless, you are still quite green. God, I really need to watch myself around this man. In any case, 'twould be ideal if we could begin producing higher quality grapes, not necessarily to compete with the South, but enough to be serviceable. Efforts to improve our farmland are underway, although it could take some time before we see the progress. Have you any propositions, my lord? Actually, I was thinking it might be best to cut back on agriculture. Do elaborate. What if we were to build the city up into a trade hub of sorts? Meaning, you wish to open our gates to our neighbors? Exactly. One thing the city has going for it is its wealth of artisans. But for years, we've only ever exported our goods. I want to bring people here to purchase. We reduce taxes for merchants and give them special privileges. Set tariffs and border taxes lower than they are in the capital, and business will naturally find its way here. This land may be less than optimal for farming, but it's more than adequate for trade. We're in a convenient location to serve as a hub for the surrounding realms. Rather than close our borders and wall ourselves off entirely, opening up and making ourselves of value to our neighbors is far more likely to dissuade potential invasion. We're all pieces on one another's boards, isn't that right? Who says that can't apply to the entire city? The best way to expand without stepping on anyone's toes is to do so in a way that benefits them as well as us. What do you think? A rather aggressive strategy you propose, my lord. If I may be so bold, there will be many obstacles to this plan's success. You will need to arrange meetings with the head of each realm you intend to invite, the order and timing of which will be crucial to its success. Furthermore, the influx of outsiders will be a source of much tension among your people. So, you think I'm aiming too high? You are indeed aiming exceedingly high. Your obstacles will be numerous and precipitous. Nonetheless, obstacles can be overcome. Your exhaustion is nothing compared to the weariness that awaits you down this path. Do be well aware of this, my lord. You're damn right I am. If I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna go all in. There we go. We're all pieces on a board, and I own the board, so... The Lord's Manor sat atop a tall hill. Gazing out, the city stretched before me. Countless columns of smoke rising from the buildings, the people scurrying about like so many ants. From up here, I had the perfect view of the bustle of the city, but I was too far away to feel the life breathing through it. To think I used to be one of those tiny little specks. Thousands of people lived there. They had families, jobs, friends, hobbies. But as much as I was cognizant of that fact, I no longer grasped it on anything more than a conceptual level. It was incredible just how much my view of the world had changed in merely a year's time. I'm going to go out into the world, I said. I thought that clawing my way up to the top of the ladder would let me see it, would let me experience it, that with power, I could have the whole world at my fingertips. But reality wasn't so simple. This sure isn't what I was looking for. Hell, I feel like the chain's just gotten tighter around my neck. There's no way to truly grasp the view from this height without climbing up and seeing it for yourself. And that was exactly where I was a year ago, blind to the reality of life in the upper echelons, fantasizing about a world that didn't exist. Unlike the me of the past, I did have the satisfaction of feeling like I was accomplishing big things, but was that really worth cutting myself off from all my friends? Did those achievements really justify a bloody revolution? Or, I suppose I should ask, was this work valuable enough to me to justify it all? Reminiscing about days long gone wasn't going to help anything, and in fact, it only served to cause me pain. I couldn't return to that time. This was where my quest for power had brought me, and now I had to live out my days as lord of this land. Telling myself day after day, that it was far better than being a powerless slum rat. God, I've been so busy these past few weeks. My eyes are... One day I'll show you the world. Do you ever get tired of saying that? You've got to think big, dream. The world's changing all around us. A life just fighting to make it by day is hardly a life at all. I I don't want to spend the rest of my days confined to this tiny little corner of the world. Well, try not to let your dreams grow so big they crush you. I'm sure I'll be fine. I'll just have you sing for me if it ever gets to be overwhelming. Why would I be there? Why wouldn't you? It's hard to show you the world if I don't bring you with me. Knowing you, you still won't know where you want to go. So I'll bring you with me. We can find a place for you together. Pretty good deal, huh? I don't need to see the world. All I want is... Dozed off for a second there. It feels like those days were an eternity ago. I don't need to see the world. All I want is... All you want is what, Morgana? What were you trying to tell me? Man, it feels like a whole different place here now. You think? Looks like the same old nasty dump it's always been. He's talking about the whole city, you dolt. Exactly. Things are on the up and up in the city proper, but we ain't seeing a scrap of it down here. The heck's up with that? All the new shops are spilling out past the city border. The highway into town's turned into a full-blown bazaar. Ooh, sounds nice. Is there anything in that damned head of yours? We're saying, how come we're still living like rats if they got enough spare coin to build up all that market space? Hell, with all these damn immigrants coming in, the slums are even bigger shithole than before. You know, I never thought much of it till now, but you're right. The gang's been a lot busier lately with all the drifters. And Jacopo, Lord Barnier, ain't showed his mug down here even once since he took over. I mean, I get that the bloody lord can't spend all day hanging out in the slums, but he could at least visit. Instead, he's spending all his time buddying up with the rich folks. And we used to be such good friends, too. Wonder if he's planning to just not bother with us at all. I hope not, but that's sure what it's looking like. You think he'd at least throw us a bone rather than letting the merchants and upper class take coin baths in his coffers. Guess when he became one of them, he just became just like him, too. Feels like we're in the exact same place we were a year ago. He's no different than the old Barnier. Go create hell, Gratian. I know it's not going to do anything, but I'll feel better. Psst, psst. God. Oh, it's you. So, you find anything? Yep, got the proof you was looking for. But if you'd be so kind as to never give me a job like this again, I'd be hanged thrice over if the nobles found out I was sniffing around in their business. Oh, quit being such a bitch. You didn't steal nothing or kill anyone, you're fine. A man's secrets can sometimes be worth more in his life. But on to business. Your suspicions were correct. Well, fuck me sideways. Here's your pay. Take it and piss off. Nice doing business. Hey, hold up now. I risked my neck to get that for you, and this is all I get in return? Got a problem with that, you little bitch? No, sir. Don't you worry. You'll get your fair due shortly. Are we doing another revolution? These construction costs are really starting to pile up. Can't we put the manor repairs off until we've taken care of more pressing matters? Like using that money to help the poor. The Lord and his residents are the face of his land. If you wish for the city to continue thriving upon the fruits of your relationships with the surrounding realms, you must maintain a minimum level of respectability, my lord. Merchants in particular are merciless judges of appearance. Of this you can be certain. No respectable merchant will do business on equal terms with a city whose lord refuses to take care of his own home. I get that, but still, it's so much money. These are necessary expenses. To acquire the resources required to aid the lower class, we must increase the rate of production. Efforts must begin at the top and gradually work down. You must not be in such a great rush, my lord. The work you are performing is on a much larger, longer scale than perhaps that of which you are accustomed. Are we doing trickle-down economics here? Because we know that doesn't work in modern day, so... You have a point. Then let the construction continue. I'm definitely coming to see just how crucial a bit of embellishment can be to surviving in high society. Every engagement is like throwing myself into a lion's den. Everyone surrounding me, measuring me up. They question my pedigree, some with their eyes, some with their mouths. Some even attempt to dig up dirt on me in order to tilt the scales in their favor. Oh yeah, and there was that one time when I was straight up shouted at, right to my face. You're no more a damn noble than any of those other rats whose nest you crawled out of, if I recall. Not that he was wrong. I took the throne by force. It's only natural that people are going to have their suspicions. That I came from the slums is just the icing on the cake. I'm damn lucky if condescension is the worst treatment I get on a first encounter. And then there are the distant relatives Barnier lets slip through the cracks, slithering back up to assert their right to the land. There are a lot more people out to get me than I first anticipated. Do remain strong, my lord. I will always be strong. If I so much as let these wolves smell weakness, well, they'll pounce all over me. Like hell I'm gonna let that happen. I won't have time to work on helping the poor if I have to spend my days fending off packs of bloodthirsty nobles. I cannot read today, I'm so sorry. I must always appear strong, under any circumstances. I, of all people, should know just how easily a lord can be dethroned. And I'll be next if I leave even the slightest opening. I have to do whatever it takes to make sure that's not my future. Perhaps you should get some rest, my lord. Excuse me? Are you insane? I have to review the construction budget so that... Allow me to handle that. I don't know about that. I don't trust this man. Yeah, I don't trust this man. I will get you something to drink. Perhaps a glass of that southern wine you're so fond of? It is quite sweet. Perfect for alleviating built-up fatigue. I am not fatigued. Come now, please take this request from an overly concerned consul, my lord. Fine, you win. It's hard to believe it's only been a year and a half. I feel like we go way back. We do see each other every day, after all. I'm starting to crave some variety, to be honest. I never found a good opportunity to ask you this, but... Yes? Do you have any family? Because if you do, you're more than welcome to have them live here. I appreciate your concern, my lord, but they have all passed away. All of them? Indeed. My entire family was eradicated at the previous lord's order. Once, and only once, I offered him my humble opinion. So infuriated was he by my insolence that he had my family murdered. Wow! Okay. Nothing like, having your job be giving your opinion. But if you give the wrong one, we'll just wipe out your entire family. I would have much preferred myself killed in their stead. But he was a man who reveled in others' suffering. And you just kept on serving him? That is correct. I acted as his loyal servant, too afraid to speak up again. Acted? Recall what I said when we first met? I was sitting in wait for the perfect opportunity. Now you understand why. Well, damn. And if I may come clean about that time, I had every intention of disposing of the revolution's puppet master. Never once did I trust Ginevra. Her foolish motives were plain as day. As the new lord's mother, she planned to control her planted usurper from the shadows, acting as the effective governor of the land. Having no family left myself, the city and its people are like my children. So I refused to stand by and allow her to turn them into tools to satisfy her own avarice. The land would hardly survive a tyrant sweeping in to replace a tyrant. but she was removed from the board by the former lord before she had a chance to see her aspirations to fruition. Knowing she was no longer a danger, I decided I would wait and see how the successor fared before taking any further action, to determine if you were sufficient to serve as lord of this land. And I guess I passed, huh? Are you not upset, my lord? Nothing to be upset about. You never hid the fact that you acted in your own interests, that if a piece had no value to you, you discarded it. And I always knew there was more than what you were telling me. I'll just say, I'm relieved to still be standing here. If only you knew how close you were to falling on the other side of that line. Am I really that on edge? After all the work I put into this? While you do have a rare aptitude and strength of spirit, you are still much too easily swayed by your emotions. Ergo, I shall continue to instruct you until you are able to fully satisfy my expectations. 'Tis rather curious, so oft do we speak, so great our time together. I have come to think of you as my second son. D- don't get all mushy on me, old man. We're not friends, and we're not family. I'm a pawn on your board, and you a pawn on mine. Strictly business. My apologies. I never said a word. Right. Never happened. Moving right along. You just keep doing what you do best. At your service, my lord. Out of curiosity, do we have any free hands around capable of riding a horse? For what purpose? There's someone I want found. Whoever it may be you wish to find, my lord, I am obliged to remind you that... You don't even have to finish that, I know. I'm supposed to leave the past in the past. Let us see, then. Your men have their hands rather full at present, though we can perhaps arrange for one of them to be reassigned. Are you sure? 'Tis a small request, and not once in your entire tenure have you requested to use your men for personal matters. I believe we can spare a hand or two on such rare occasions. Much appreciated. Shall I arrange for them to set off immediately? Please. I'm looking for a girl. If she's alive, she'll look around 13 or 14. And she has unusual markings on her face. Markings akin to burn scars? Barnier once imprisoned her in this manner. He used her as a prop for his banquets, cutting her up from head to toe. My guess is that the patches on her face are a result of Barnier's abuse. Indeed, I know the girl. I presume she had not survived the slave revolt. I take it you care quite deeply about this girl, my lord. Then allow me to offer my sincerest apologies in his stead. No need to apologize. Will you help me find her, Odilon? I will oversee the search operation personally to the best of my ability, my lord. I pray the girl is still alive. As do I. Unlikely as it may be. I'm just chasing after a sliver of a dream that shattered long ago. That said, if you do find her alive, bring her here without telling her it's at the Lord's order. She'll likely assume it's the old Barnier who's after her if you say anything. And if she happens to have found a new home where she's happy, just leave her be. Understood. Time drifted slowly onward. As I'd anticipated, there was no news regarding her whereabouts. But new shops and stalls continued opening in the city, with them coming a steady flow of travelers and passing merchants. And as traffic through the city increased, so too did the number of people seeking an audience with me. I was getting busier by the day. My plan to attract merchants and artisans from the capital had worked, and every one of them seemed to have a bigger, more ambitious proposition than the last. My days became a cycle of meetings, reviewing propositions, balancing the budget, and deciding whether to proceed or postpone. And amidst all the tumult, my thoughts drifted ever further from the poorest of my people. And that's the last of the day's meetings. There's no end in sight to this. That is a good thing, my lord. It means you have succeeded in drawing traffic to the city. I guess, but still. I need to go back and review all these proposals, so... Lord Barnier, a moment. I don't have a moment to spare. A town person requests an audience with the Lord. You've been instructed to deny entry to commoners. I tried, but he refuses to leave the gate. Hold on. What's this man's name? Sir, he calls himself Gratian. Oh shit, is it really him? Let him in, by all means. My lord, you mustn't give anyone special treatment. Gratian's not just anyone. We've been to hell and back together. He wouldn't be here if it wasn't important. I should hear what he has to say. No, my lord, you cannot. Your past is... He's a good friend. I'm not sending him away. That's not even on the table. Friend or not, you mustn't give him an audience. You are the lord now, and he a mere peasant. You cannot be certain he will hold himself with proper decorum. He's not going to hold himself with proper decorum. I'll give that spoiler warning now. I don't appreciate what you're implying about my friend, old man. He's no goddamn brute. I imply nothing, my lord. Keep your counsel to topics you actually know something about. I'm not going to stand by and listen to anyone insult my friends. Not even you. My lord, must I remind you yet again to keep your temper in check? That's enough out of you. I'm done. Not another word on the subject. My lord. Hey, guard, open the gate. Yes, sir. Sup, Jacopo? It's been ages. It feels like forever. How have you been doing? Never been better. How about you, kid? Ahem. Show proper respect to your lord, peasant. You are to refer to him as Lord Barnier, not any false names he may have responded to while in hiding. Seriously? You ain't gonna let him kick back, even for a buddy? Enough, Odilon. He can call me by my old name. But, my lord, I said I've heard enough from you. Yeah, you might just want to leave the room, man. I think we just failed Odilon's test, but, well, look at you, taking charge and barking orders all important like. You're like a whole new man, my lord. Please, you can use my name. I'm dead serious, though. Hard to believe it ain't even been 2 years. You seriously look like a whole new man. You think so? I don't feel like I've changed all that much myself. I don't know, you just, what's the word? Emanate lordliness now. Guess it don't take long in the noble's den to turn into one of them, no matter how far the chain you come from. And look at this room. Look at all these fancy fucking furnishings. None of this is old Barnier's stuff, is it? Nope. With all the meetings I've been having, I needed to make sure I had a room that was nice and presentable. Well, that's one way to put it. Hey, don't think I'm just throwing around money for the fun of it. If I want any pull in a negotiation, I need to look like a hat. No need to explain yourself, kid. I totally get it. It ain't easy dealing with a bunch of rich folks with sticks up their asses. I appreciate it. Anyway, what brings you here today? Whoa, but do I need a reason to visit a friend? Can't a guy just want to hang out and catch up? Come on. I never said that. I'm just extremely busy at the moment. I don't have much time to spare for anyone. Come on, don't be such a tight ass. That's exactly why I'm here. To make sure you don't got that stick up there so deep it punctures your brain. You gotta let loose sometimes. I suppose. Obviously, we need to go back down to the slums and drink them all out of liquor for the next 3 days. Thank you for your concern. So let's get sloshed, just like the old days. I even brought the booze. I wish I could, but I don't have the time. You'll drink with merchants and rich snobs, but not me? That stings, kid, right to the gut. I see you're as pushy as ever. Alright, fine. 1 drink in the back room. That's what I'm talking about. My lord? It'll be fine, Odilon. We go back years. There's nothing wrong with a couple of friends sharing drinks after hours. If you insist, my lord, but the peasant must leave his blade behind. I will not, under any circumstances, allow you to be alone with an armed slum dweller. Yeesh, everyone here needs to loosen up, huh? You seriously think I'm gonna pull a sword on an old pal? Humor me. Whatever, fine, you win, old-timer. Happy now? Yes. Sorry about that, Gratian. Odilon's always on edge. It's nothing personal. Nah, it's cool. Can't say I blame him. Now let's go get trashed. Yeah, I think we just failed Odilon's test, but I'm so happy to see Gratian that I really don't care. I brought a little something from the pub we used to haunt. Bet you usually drink way better shit than this now that you're the friggin' lord. But it'll be like old times, you know? This reminds me of the time we had that drinking contest. Wanna go another round? I'll have to refrain. Odilon would murder me if I did that. Sounds like the geezer's got you by the balls, huh? No fun allowed up here in the Lord's house. It can be rather suffocating, yeah. Well, you can at least let loose today. It's old times, kid. To old times. Now this is a sight I never dreamed of. The two of us here in the Lord's manor, drinking together. We were both slaves when we met, for God's sake. No fucking joke. You never know what life will bring you. Been almost 5 years since then. You weren't even 20 yet. I expect we've both grown quite a bit since those days. Or are you still running around like a wild boar even now? Hard to say. I don't think I'm as bad as I used to be, but getting into shit kind of comes with the territory, you know? And the slums are still the same as ever. I see. So how's everyone doing down there? We're scraping by, as usual. The rest of the gang? And Maria? I was going to kill him if he didn't ask about her. I want to know how she's doing. The guys are still lazing around at the pub all day. Maria's rebuilt the brothel, and she's getting by as best she can. Obviously not in the same place, and it's smaller than the old one. But for a chick, she's doing all right for herself. I'm glad to hear it. So tell me, kid, you and her totally had a thing, yeah? Where on earth did that come from? I believe I've already told you. No, we didn't. Just seems like she's about 10 times more worried about you than anyone else. There must have been something. Don't make sense otherwise. Maybe she just had a thing for you and you never saw it. Poor girl. There were no romantic feelings on either side. We were friends. Simple as that. Nothing more, nothing less. Have you seen those honkers? What's that have to do with anything? It just don't make sense to me. How can a guy only be friends with a chick? It just means we value certain things in life differently. You know, you like to do that sometimes, get all weirdly noble like that. I didn't mean that as a jab. It has nothing to do with being noble. Maria's special. We've known each other most our lives, and we survived hell together. Oh yeah, you mentioned that before, didn't you? That you two have known each other longer than anyone else? What was it like back then for the two of you? Before I met her, Maria was raised in an orphanage. She said she ran off because she and the director didn't get along. Can't say I'm surprised. How about you? I hardly remember anything from before I came to the city. Just bits and pieces of what my mother told me. Being guarded by a bunch of men, being kidnapped by bandits. You mean that noblewoman? Real shame you had to lose her so soon after reuniting, huh? Indeed it is. Don't you think it's about time you cut the shit? Excuse me? You're not a Barnier. You didn't inherit the throne. You're just a damn fraud. Ain't that right, Jacopo? What are you talking? Finally starting to kick in, it looks like. God, you got any idea how hard it was not to throttle you through that entire conversation? Well, Gratian, this was nice. I think it's time to go. Almost out of nowhere, my heart rate skyrocketed and my legs started trembling so violently I had to lean against the wall to support myself. The whole world started swirling, and I could just barely make out my old friend glaring at me through the fog. How you like that? Feels like your heart's about to burst, don't it? Don't you worry, kid. You won't be feeling nothing soon. You poisoned the drinks? Why would you... Why? You seriously need me to spell it out for you? You've been stuffing your head with fucking rainbows up here? You want to know what they call you down in the slums? Jacopo the betrayer. Uh, I did not betray. You take one goddamn look at the city and tell me that again. Well, you're up here treating anyone with a cart and some trinkets to sell like fucking royalty. The slums is still the same rat's nest you left it. No, we're even worse off now. With your new marketplace, anyone can turn a little bit of money into a big pile of gold. But if you got nothing to begin with, you're just dead in the streets. All you're doing is making the rich even richer. No, I'm trying. I wanted to explain how I had everything planned out. How I first needed to improve the economy as a whole before I could turn my attention to the less well off. That nothing changing was proof I was protecting them. That the slums had been in danger of being eradicated entirely, and I had stopped it. But I could see in his eyes that nothing I said would convince him. As far as he was concerned, I was pure evil. You're not the man you used to be. Gratian, why? I thought you believed in me. Dude, it's been 2 years of, like, absolutely no contact. I think anyone would start doubting at some point. You're damn right I did. And then you went and fed us a bunch of lies. You called yourself the rightful heir. You called yourself a Barnier. But I did my digging. You don't got a lick of royal blood in you. All you ever wanted was to line your pockets, you selfish bastard. No, You never had any intent of helping us. Please, hear me out, Gratian. We were all just pawns to you. The whole damn revolution was part of your game. I'm begging you. How does it feel knowing your throne sits on the backs of all those people you betrayed? Please. You don't have any right to call yourself the goddamn lord. Gratian! Oh, you barely have any right to call yourself a fucking man. You're just a rat in fancy clothes. Should have been me. I would have made an infinitely better lord than you ever were. If only I'd had that ring. Then it could have been me. So that's what this is all about. In a flash, everything I once felt for this man, all the friendship, the camaraderie, the sympathy, went cold. As much as he tried to dress up this whole farce, that was where his heart truly was. He was just sour about not being the one who got to be Lord. He believed himself superior. He got himself caught up in this stupid fit of jealousy, and now he's trying to kill me over it? That's seriously all this is? Are you listening to a word you're saying? What was that? You're the one who's not the man he used to be. And you're the one who's being a self-centered bastard. Talk all you want, dead man. The Gratian I knew would never resort to using poison. He'd have drawn his sword the second he passed through those gates, faced me like a man. But look at you. Even Barnier had more of a spine than you. You dare compare me to that sack of shit? Alright, fine, I'll play it your way. You had a knife hidden on him? An instant later, Gratian was brandishing a short blade. He had snuck it in under his clothes, I presumed. I was almost amazed at how thoroughly prepared he was. He'd never had any intention of this going any other way. He hadn't come to talk. He was never going to hear me out. He was here to do one thing and one thing only. And I doubted he had any plans for what would come next. Raw hatred was all that fueled him. He wouldn't take my place after killing me. He wouldn't work himself to the bone to ensure the city kept running. He didn't give a single damn about any of that. You're scum. I won't be taken down by some worthless, self-absorbed rat. Nothing I had ever tried had been enough to best Gratian in combat. And that was when I was at my peak, not with the myriad needles of his poison prickling my every pore, barely able to stand under my own weight. But still, I had no intention of surrendering my life to this cur. I took in a deep breath, clenched my teeth, shouted at my shaking limbs. Move! 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 Move, damn you! My fingers. I could feel them again. Before the thought finished passing through my mind, my hand reached for a blade. Grasping the rapier hanging from the wall, I swiftly drew it from its scabbard. It was a decorative blade, not meant for combat. It would probably bounce right off Gratian's muscular chest, But there was one place I could target. His eye, maybe? Rotten hell, you son of a bitch. Knife in hand, he lunged at me. Just moments before death befell me. My vision, blurred by the poison, grew unbelievably clear. Gratian almost appeared to be moving in slow motion. I wasn't sure my mind had ever been so clear, so sharp in battle before. The dying embers of my fading life burned anew into a blazing inferno. Gah! Unlike my fight with Barnier, this one was over in an instant. Before I had time to breathe or even blink, it was settled. And in that same instant, everything I had built up with this man turned to dust. I had never once defeated him. For as long as I had known him, I was always, always, always number two. And now, for the very first time, I won. Why did it have to be you there and not me? The blade of the rapier in my hand skewered Gratian's throat. His mouth flapped open and shut like a fish. He glared at me, face twisted in a mixture of hatred and agony, sputtering fragments of contempt until the life drained from his eyes. My first victory against my old friend also took his life. And it all happened in the blink of an eye, hardly enough time to even register in my mind. My lord, what was all that commotion? What happened? Okay, Jacopo, you're gonna make me hyperventilate. My lord, please stay with me. Were you poisoned? Someone, is anyone there? Yes, sir. A doctor, as quickly as you can. I. My lord, please, my lord, a doctor will be here shortly. Please, just stay with me just a little longer. My lord? Odilon, you were right. I was stupid. I should have listened. I thought he was my friend, but he wasn't. Not anymore. And because we had once been friends, that made him my greatest threat. I know, this should have ended a different way. I'm devastated. I hate that that was how Gratian died. I had a feeling it was going to be like that, but I hated it. Everyone here so far has deserved better. Can't breathe. My blood feels like it's made of magma. My throat burns. My skin, like it's being eaten away. Who's there? Who's there? Why are you laughing? Answer me. How does it feel, boy? To know it all went exactly as I said it would. But how? But that you wouldn't be able to trust anyone. You're dead. The worst is yet to come, boy. Silence! You could work yourself to the marrow of your bones, and still the people will never look beyond the surface. I said enough! Listen, you can hear the scorn in their voices. They're calling you a tyrant, a soulless monster. I know you can hear them. They are not. They say you're no better than me, that you're a foolish ruler who cares not for his own people. They shout an endless cacophony of discontent. Shut up. Just shut up. I am nothing like you. Can you, then, remain a virtuous leader, no matter how bitterly your people despise you? Is your love for them truly so resolute? No. The virtue you brandish was never so selfish. Tell me I'm wrong, slum rat. It is not benevolence that drove you to take the throne, but a thirst for power, for prestige. Not another word! Do you know what truly brought you here? You were tired of people looking down on you. You thought you would be treated with respect if you had real power. You wanted it more than anything in the world. Enough already! You dedicating your life in the service of others, it was never going to last. Allow me to make a prediction. Soon, very soon, you'll find yourself drifting over to my side. You'll stop caring about the people's lives, and for that, they will despise you. You'll lose any last bit of sense left in you. Push everyone away until you're all alone, and then you'll succumb completely to madness's grip. Stop talking! You don't have what it takes to be lord of the land. I said stop talking! The people aren't the only ones who aren't on your side. You have enemies everywhere you look. The nobles don't accept you as one of them. They'll try to drag you off your throne by any means. Your aides and servants will turn on you. And this won't be the last time you writhe in the claws of poison. Again and again and again and again. Never will you stop being the target of others' loathing. Or will you continue to act like some kind of paragon of virtue, never wavering in your faith to others? How long will your benevolence last? In the face of dozens of attempts on your life. Shut your goddamned mouth. It won't be easy, boy. Because you came from the slums, you'll face even more, even greater threats than I. Silence! I bet that just terrifies you. Drains all the hope from your heart. Well, there's an easy solution. Follow in my footsteps and reign with terror. Stop talking! I've heard enough of your goddamn noise! You're already afflicted with a great curse, boy. A curse known as the Lord of the Land. It's a curse from which you will never be free. And hence, you will never be free from me. However much you may come to regret taking that throne, you can't give it back now. It's not something you can simply hand off to someone else, nor a duty from which you can simply relieve yourself. That anguish and agony and misery it brings you every day will follow you all the way to your grave. Just stop, damn it. Keep your babbling to yourself, you damn ghost. Go on, try and make me. Cover my mouth, why don't you? You can't do it, can you? You're too weak to defeat even a mere spirit. Shut the hell up! I know precisely what your future holds, boy. You'll sit upon the throne alone. Not a single person at your side, and not even death shall free you from your eternal solitude. For it is not but an empty shell with which you decorate the throne. Stop talking! Do you hear that, slum rat? Someone's come for you. The question is, do they act out of genuine concern? Can you be sure the water they give you is safe to drink? Perhaps they mean to finish you off. If a simple grunt like him could get his hands on poison, how easy do you think it would be for the Lord's Consul to procure a substance hundreds of times more potent? Hell, he wouldn't even have to go through the trouble. You're no more a threat than an insect with its wings torn off. A feeble woman or a crippled slave could plunge a knife into your trembling spine with little effort. Behold, the former mastermind of the revolution. All this suffering, you brought it on yourself by trying to defy your fate. The nightmares continued. Again and again and again they haunted me. Every time I drifted off to sleep, there floated Barnier's severed head, cursing me, mocking me, laughing at me from every direction. And as he said I would, I soon began to hear the people as well, endlessly condemning me, deriding me, berating me. I tried to convince myself it was all in my head, but Gratian's words told me otherwise. All my old companions called me Jacopo the betrayer, he had said. I wasn't sure how much time had passed. Was it day? Was it night? Was I sane enough to tell the difference? Was I even still alive? I had no idea. It was always the same refrain, every time he appeared. You can't trust anyone. Your friends will all eventually betray you, try to drag you off your throne. Your people have no faith in you. Everyone despises you. I couldn't even tell anymore. Were those Barnier's words? Or were they coming from the depths of my own mind? All I knew for certain was that there was no escaping them, and that they were slowly eating away at my spirit. My breathing was labored, and my entire body felt like it was on a spit being roasted in the eternal flames of hell. And at other times, I couldn't stop shivering. I felt like I had been tossed into a frozen river. Doctors, guards, Odilon, I couldn't tell who was who, but there always seemed to be someone standing at my side. The faceless shadows were anything but comforting now, for Barnier's ghosts constantly reminded me of the threat they posed. I quite certainly wailed like a terrified child. Everyone seemed like a danger. If even Gratian couldn't be trusted, who was to say that the doctors weren't sneaking poison into my medicine? Who was to say Odilon didn't plan to silently remove me? I didn't know who I could trust. Or maybe Barnier was right. I couldn't trust anyone. Still he cackled. Still he cursed, right by my ear. There isn't a soul left in this world who won't betray you, he whispered, laughing away. I will say, I agree. Like, yeah, even your precious Maria will want to stab you in the face. I do somewhat agree with everyone has deserved better, except Barnier, who deserved worse than what he got. But also, he kind of did get one of the worst endings I can think of, right? Yes, he wasn't like tortured and put to what he inflicted on others. But the only thing that killed him was the thing that he possibly genuinely cared about. So that one at least had to have stung. So my fever seems to be receding. I can finally move again. It looks like I survived. Why do you have a musical instrument in your bed? Just in case you want to play a little ditty in your, poison fueled sickness or something. I don't know. Hey, hey, is anyone there? Where are you, Odilon? Anyone? Lord Barnier, I'm so glad to see you're feeling well again. Thanks. We've all been worried sick. Lord Barnier? What? Pardon. You just seem, not quite yourself. But after all that's happened, I suppose that shouldn't be a surprise. How long was I out? 3 days, sir. The poison kept you bedridden for 3 full days and nights. That long, huh? Then I've got a lot of work to catch up on. Yes, sir. But I implore you to take things easy for these next few days. When do I ever have time for that? Now, where's Odilon? I haven't seen him. Go fetch him for me. I, um, he is presently. Don't tell me he's not around. Where the hell did that old man get off to? No, he's here. Please, Lord Barnier, try to remain calm. Odilon was. Odilon! My lord, is that you? Thank heavens. You're well. Forget about me. What happened? My deepest apologies. I don't want an apology. I want you to tell me why this happened. Please, my lord, distress not over this simple man. Why, Odilon? The Odilon I know would never deign to put himself out in front of a gang of slum dwellers. Say what? Please, Lord Barnier, try to remain calm. Odilon was struck in the head with a stone and is in critical condition. The following day, that is, the day after Gratian poisoned me, a dozen people from the slums showed up at the manor gates. They cried in angry protest against the Lord, demanding change. Evidently, Gratian hadn't kept word of my deception to himself, so in addition to their other complaints, they shouted that I was a fake, that I wasn't actually nobility. They threatened to reveal my secret if I didn't do something about their living conditions. As the commotion dragged on through the day, people within the manor started getting restless. Eventually, it got to be so tense that Odilon stood near a window, told them they needed to seize immediately, and if they wouldn't, they would be charged with lèse-majesté, which is when he was hit in the head with a rock and lost consciousness. Odilon, I say this as nicely as I can, but what the fuck did you think was going to happen, my dude? Like, I, yeah. These people don't have enough food to eat, and you're just like, you know what? Go home or we're charging you with a crime. Did you not think that was possibly going to get a rock to the head? Like, God, you damn fool! I'm quite pleased to see you have recovered enough to shout with such vigor. Now I needn't worry. Wait, slow down. Worry about what? Regrettably, it would seem old age has bested me. I think the stone must have gotten my eyes, for I cannot see you there, my lord. I'm right here. Please don't give up on me. You're stronger than a stupid rock. Give it a few days and you'll be back to perfect health. And even if your sight doesn't come back, you can still do your job. I can tell you everything I see. Come on, Odilon. My sincerest apologies. Please. Why would you even go try to talk them down yourself anyway? Whatever happened to acting only in your own benefit? What did you have to gain from not having them executed on the spot? They were rioting in front of the Lord's manor. You had no reason to bother warning them. There was no question they were committing a serious offense. Why didn't you just do what you would always do? And then I would argue with you about it, like I always do. What the hell got into you, Odilon? I suppose I must have softened up somewhat. Excuse me? You cared so much about your friends in the slums, my lord, that I took pity on them. Old age seems to weaken more than just the body. How truly inconvenient. Odilon. Nevertheless, I'm glad this old body held out until today. What are you? I would not have been able to pass on peacefully had I not seen you recovered from the poison, my lord. Stop it. Don't talk like that. I told you, you're stronger than one damn rock. I'm your lord, damn it. My word is the law. 'Tis with great regret that I must defy my lord's command. Enough. I mean it. You stop this right now. My warnings against being swayed by your emotions remain unheeded, I see. And who the hell's fault do you think that is, huh? You are the Lord. The sooner you learn to control that blaze, the smoother your future endeavors will proceed. Do not allow your days to be cut short as well, in a moment's weakness. I implore you to always remain strong, strong and ever high of heart, so that none may drag you down. With death upon me, my hands are shaking dreadfully. I didn't think anything scared you. It terrifies me to know I will be leaving you alone. Before I was able to teach you everything, I cannot bear knowing that I have forsaken you. But the onset of a great and perilous journey. There is so much more I have yet to pass on to you that you will need in order to become a great ruler. So much. Then don't go! Stay and teach me! You said you wanted to fulfill your duties as consul, that you didn't want to die until you had accomplished something worthwhile. You can't tell me you're satisfied with this. Odilon! Odilon? Odilon. Don't do this. You can't. Say something. Please, say anything. Tell me it's all a cruel prank. Odilon! Lord Barnier. Odilon is dead. Make arrangements for a funeral. Yes, Lord. And what happened with the riot? They fled soon after striking Odilon. I would wager they returned to the city. Thank you. Would you like something done about them, Lord? I would. They need to understand that their actions have consequences. They slandered their lord and murdered his consul. We can't just let them walk away from that now, can we? Then we will have them all arrested and thrown in the dungeon. I said there would be consequences. If we just slap them on the wrists, they will come back and do it again. They'll mock me, condescend me, ridicule me, keep making a mess of my home. Tell me, do you feel safe serving a lord whose people neither respect nor fear him? Would you have any admiration for a leader like that? Have them executed. Since Odilon isn't here to advise it, I, Lord Barnier, officially order every spark of opposition is to be snuffed out. You find every last one of the rats and relieve them of their heads, and then put them on display in the city square. Make sure they know damn well exactly what awaits anyone who opposes Lord Barnier. Yes, Lord. Exactly. The position of Grand Vizier is now open. I think Maria would do a fantastic job as like a consul. She knows exactly what men want. So I mean, that would be best case scenario to me. Sorry. Odilon's blood was on my hands. My inexperience and naivety had gotten him killed. He had warned me again and again that my people had no love for me, but I ignored him, foolishly believing in friendship, letting Gratian into my house, and ultimately getting Odilon murdered. My trust didn't belong with Gratian or my old slum companions. It belonged with Odilon. I should have realized so much sooner that he was the one and only person left I could trust. Pretty sure you still probably trust Maria, but whatever. Men with whom I had spent years had likely participated in that riot. Men whose names I knew, whose faces I recognized, with whom I had spoken on countless occasions, but not women, like, come on. But I felt not even a pang of regret in ordering their deaths. I didn't reminisce about the good old days. Those days were gone, irrelevant, meaningless. I felt no sympathy for the people they were leaving behind, nor did I so much as bat an eye when I saw their bodies lined up before me. Compassion bred weakness, made you vulnerable. I had to excise every last bit of it. It was the last thing I needed, for I was the Lord, Jean-Francois Bonnier. Hey, look at all those heads. Supposedly they were beheaded for trying to assassinate the Lord. That seems like a lot of folks for an assassination attempt. You can say what happened up yonder. Have you been down to the square today? I have. My heavens, I almost passed out at the sight of it. Why would those stupid thugs try to go after the Lord anyway? There's been whisperings around town. They say he was actually born in the slums and isn't a noble at all. Wasn't that just his cover while he was in hiding from the phony Barnier? I certainly hope that's the case, but either way, it's probably best to keep quiet about the topic. I'll say, I doubt he'll do anything as bad as the phony, but it still brings back bad memories. And thanks for getting to be so pleasant, too. What is this? Some kind of sick joke? Fucking Gratian's right at the very front. And the other guys? He used to hang out with at the pub. Did you kill them all? Jacopo? You killed all your old friends? Why? What the hell, Jacopo? You would never hurt anyone. What happened to you? You went through hell with these guys. How could you just fucking murder them? Have you really changed that much? You have. You have, Jacopo. You've become a completely different man. No. You're long dead. You died in that goddamn revolution. The Jacopo I know no longer exists. All that's left is Lord Barnier. Everyone, they're all gone. You, Morgana, Jaren, Gratian, every last one. What the fuck, man? I appointed a new consul shortly after Odilon's death, but he was an ineffectual, short-sighted oath. And to top it off, he had a tendency to simply nod and agree with anyone and everyone rather than express any opinions of his own. If anything, having him around made my job more difficult. But it wasn't as though there was anyone else competent enough to take the position, and relieving him so soon would come with its own crop of problems. So I ended up using him to shuffle papers and handle other menial work while I took care of the actual decision-making. Yeah, I agree. I don't think killing them was necessarily so much about Odilon's death and more about the fact that he's fucking scared now. And scared men tend to do horrible things. Watch a horror movie. My first order of business was to establish clearly defined rules and punishments. Speaking ill of the Lord, spreading false rumors about his lineage, creating art of any form which could be interpreted as defamatory. These were all considered acts of lèse-majesté, and in the most severe cases were potentially punishable by death. I started seeing results almost immediately. The people stopped claiming I was a fake, that I came from the slums. The Barnier name became a symbol of fear once again. My renovation efforts proceeded as originally planned. The city flourished as a commerce hub, attracting merchants and patrons and visitors from near and far. Some fields had to be removed as well to accommodate the expansion of the marketplace, but they were hardly producing anything worthwhile to begin with. If farmers wanted to keep farming, they were free to move elsewhere. I scaled down the size of the slums while scaling up security. Lacking leadership, what little remained of the peacekeeper group had turned into a gang of unruly thugs, so rather than keeping the peace, they largely made things worse. In response, I forbade the formation of unauthorized organizations within the slums. And with all that in place, the city was much safer and more orderly, and the economy significantly stronger than it had been under my predecessor's rule. However, those unfortunate enough to miss riding the wave of economic growth found themselves falling even further behind their neighbors. The ravine between the poor and the wealthy had become nigh uncrossable. This definitely would not have happened if Gratian hadn't done that dick move. Like, we went from 0 to 60, and now Jacopo's jumping at shadows, is basically what the issue is. Right? Anything could be revolution at this point. So, and now he doesn't have an advisor he trusts at all to tell him that he's being an idiot. Not that I think Odilon would have necessarily, but I don't even think, say, best case scenario, he brings Maria in here. I don't think she could have actually talked him out of it there either. So he's well on his way already into madness. So my own manor was hardly a bastion of safety either. Not only was I rapidly enacting new policy, laws were stricter and punishments harsher than before, so many were, to put it lightly, more than a little displeased with me. I'd gone through several food tasters, and just as many direct assassination attempts. It wasn't particularly difficult to avoid major incidents by simply suspecting everyone, but I could seldom relax as a result. In time, I came to prefer solitude. Well, not so much prefer, as require it for my own safety. Odilon's death left me with more than just solitude, though. The phantom slipped free from my dreams, appearing from my shadow whenever I was alone, laughing endlessly. What did I tell you, boy? You're controlling them with fear, just as I did. This is a perfect time to get the hiccups. I'm so sorry if I can't suppress them. It's a wonderful feeling, is it not? The look of terror on a man's face is the most exquisite thing in all the world. Silence, you. Stand by the window and listen. You can hear them all the way from the bottom of the hill, bemoaning the great and terrible Lord Barnier. Be quiet. And you know who their cries are about. It's not me any longer. It's you, boy. Shut up, goddammit. Don't fool yourself. You're no better than me. Enough! I said silence, spirit! I am nothing like you. Is that so? Then tell me, boy, how do we differ? I don't hold those disgusting banquets for one, nor do I torture slaves for my own sick pleasure. By your command, hundreds of slaves are being worked so hard it will surely spell their deaths. How is that any different than murder or torture? Their deaths aren't meaningless. They're giving their lives for the good of this city. In your eyes, perhaps. But how many would take your side? You have no idea what you're talking about. If the people were truly satisfied with your rule, you wouldn't be holed up in this room all the time. You have no one you can open up to, no one to offer you companionship. What better proof of your tyrannical ways than your own isolation? Shut your damn mouth! You wretched man. How many times have you been betrayed? Have you found anyone you can trust after all your old friends proved you couldn't even count on them? Oh, for God's sake, quit babbling already! Solitude will be your constant companion for the rest of your days. And should you let your guard down even for a moment, know that 100 men lie in wait, ready to plunge their blades into your back. Your attendants dream of the day they can sneak poison past your taster. Shut up! Ah, you poor, pathetic child. How much misery and stress has you brought upon yourself because you let your dreams run amok, clawing your way up into a world much, much too big for you. Be gone, damn you! My lord, I heard a huge crash. Lord, how many times do I have to tell you to stay out of my chambers? Forgive me, but I was afraid you might be an... I can take care of myself, damn it. Don't make me say it again. Yes, sir. hell with you. We're nothing alike. I'm making their lives better, not worse. I'm not a tyrant. Look, if your Wi-Fi is constant buffering, is, always giving me hiccups, maybe you're cursing me or something. I don't know. Ugh. I started relying on alcohol to rid myself of the phantom. When I was drunk enough, I didn't have to see anything. So great, we're adding alcoholism to madness. That's gonna go great. I didn't dream. I didn't have nightmares. And most importantly, I didn't have to think. There were times I couldn't be sure whether I was in my right mind. There were times I was so panicked I wanted to scream my throat raw. But there was never a time I was safe showing that weakness. I knew from experience it would only put me at risk. I couldn't complain to anyone. I couldn't ask anyone for help. I couldn't believe in anyone. Odilon's dying words came back to me again and again. Stay strong and ever high of heart. What did he even mean to be high of heart, though? Certainly I had nothing to be proud of. Not having spent my early years a filthy, impoverished slum rat, not having spearheaded a violent revolution and stolen the throne, not this farce of a tale about me secretly being a noble. I hadn't been raised to be a lord. I hadn't been taught to have a proud, noble spirit. That was likely what Odilon had wanted to impart upon me. The nature of a ruler. People automatically respect a man who is truly dignified and noble. They instinctively admire him, kneeling out of wholehearted honor. And that's what makes a true king. Not knowing the first thing about how to be that kind of man, I fell back on the only alternative that came to mind, forcing them to kneel beneath my iron fist. 2 years under Odilon's tutelage was nowhere near long enough to instill in me the natural nobility I needed. Thus, I was left to be tormented by this accursed phantom whenever alone, and play the ruthless ruler elsewise. In my attempts to mask the fear lurking within, I grew louder and more ostentatiously contemptuous. Practically every other word out of my mouth was an insult. The old Jacopo was long gone, and Lord Barnier has crept in to take his place. It was gradual enough that I hardly realized it was happening. But now, all I saw in the mirror was the face of a cruel, wretched man. I even came to hate my old self, think him foolish. What kind of a vapid, nebulous dream was I want to go out into the world? What basis did I have for thinking myself any more significant than any other kid on the streets? And where the hell did I get the idea that having influence meant having freedom? I could barely even take care of myself. Where did I get off on thinking a little power would let me protect the people I cared about? And what about now? What fundamentally did I even want now? What did I have to protect? Nothing. I was too far gone. There was no light to be found no matter how far I marched this path, and only a bottomless abyss waited at my back. I had left myself with nowhere to return to. Before I knew it, nearly 4 years had passed since the revolution. By then, not a soul dared defy my will. I was surrounded by people who supported my every decision. Few of them genuinely agreed with me on everything, obviously, but no one could deny how much growth I had brought about, and so long as I continued to produce results, I would continue to have their outward support. As a trading hub, the city flourished, but the citizens were less than thrilled about the work I was doing. The poorest, especially, seemed to hold a great deal of enmity for me. But I was reaching the point where I couldn't manage on the support of the upper crust alone. Simply dumping sacks of coin into the streets wouldn't end poverty, though, and increasing taxes on imported goods would undermine everything I had built up. Lacking an actual solution, all I could do was work to make them feel like they were better off than they actually were. Fortunately, it was much easier to pull the wool over the middle and lower classes' eyes than it was the better educated upper class. I started by building public recreational facilities, which citizens had priority access to. And then I turned my eyes toward religion. About a year earlier, as part of the city's expansion, a bridge was built across the river that served as the city's effective border. A church had still not been established in that new district, so I wanted to build one and gather a following. Conveniently enough, my predecessor had been in the process of building a second manor on the other side of the river, and with a little bit of work, it could easily be repurposed into a church. Once people started making use of the church, it would be simple to win their favor by making myself known as a generous patron. Faith was the ultimate blinder for the uneducated, and history showed time and again that religion could be a powerful tool in the right hands. But the high foreigner and merchant population in the city meant that no one particular religion had managed to take hold. The merchants especially tended to develop their own individual philosophies over the years, with few caring much for higher powers. That was a possible explanation for why the church had never had much sway in this region. There was, therefore, a chance the whole thing would just be a colossal waste of money. However, I had recently caught wind of a curious rumor. There was a nun serving at a small church at the far edge of town who people had come to refer to as the Saintess. Yep, good old bread and circuses.
Marie, come here, Sister Marie. Oh, what is it? We picked some flowers for you. Take a look, they're so pretty. Oh, why, thank you. They're beautiful. Oh, get it away from me! She actually fell for it. Hey now, how many times do I have to tell you it's not nice to trick people? You're too much fun to tease, Sister Marie. That's hardly an excuse. It's still wrong. I'm your big sister here, so you need to treat me like... there's a bug on your dress. No way, where is it? Get it off, someone get it off me. Just kidding, there's nothing there. Get back here, you little rascals.
So her name's Marie. Not quite what I envisioned of the so-called Saintess.
She seeks out orphans to take into her care and offers food for the hungry, shelter for the homeless, and rest for the weary.
And where exactly did the funds for that come from?
She covers it all herself, supposedly.
I highly doubt she has that kind of money just sitting around. Look at the building. It's practically falling apart. Wait a second, I get it. She makes use of all the church's resources to fund her charity.
That is correct, my lord.
And she's really so foolish as to not realize that's unsustainable.
The locals are quite fond of her, but the same cannot be said of the priests and the other nuns. Her work is causing them great financial stress.
I'm not surprised.
Shall I summon her?
No, don't bother her. I've seen more than enough.
Yes, my lord.
What? You have something to say?
No, my lord. I simply find it curious you would take the time to come all the way out here when you have far more important work to attend to. Not that I would ever imply your judgment is anything other than impeccable, my lord.
I just thought the Saintess might be someone I knew.
Pardon?
But I was mistaken. They don't call her the Saintess because she does God's work. They just call her that because she is a damn goody two-shoes. So much for words having actual meaning, Christ.
I see. Lord Barnier?
It's nothing. I'm heading back now.
Yes, sir. Marie, the giant man's here. Come on now, be polite.
Good day, Marie. The kids seem to be doing quite well.
Oh, you have no idea. So well, in fact, that this little hooligan found himself a whole handful of bugs. And goodness, he about scared me out of my skin.
A little mischief is a good thing. Their smiles wouldn't be half as bright at any other orphanage.
I'm not so sure about that.
In any case, here's what I earned this week.
No, I keep telling you that's not necessary.
But you do accept tithes, you know?
Yes, but still.
I know it's hardly enough to cover what you need, but please.
No, that's not what I mean. It's your money. You should use it for yourself.
I have nothing to use it on. You'll put it to much better use than I ever could.
All right, thank you. But try not to work yourself too hard, okay?
I promise. Goodness, you really do make a lot in a week. I didn't realize carpentry paid so well. Indeed. I'm fortunate enough to have found good work.
Maybe I'll leave the church and take up carpentry myself. Just kidding.
You could. You could, but you would do quite well for yourself. You're strong enough to carry me, at least.
That took every last bit of strength I had.
It is very weird seeing Yukimasa be like a normal person for a little bit. Who is that man? Even with all the foreigners we get here, I've never seen anyone who looks like that.
He's a frequent visitor to this church, though he does not appear to come for the charity.
An Oriental, perhaps?
Oriental?
My former consul told me of them once. Vagrants from the Far East who supposedly look much like that man.
How curious.
He may be able to fool the nun, but I know damn well no carpenter in the world makes that much in a week. There's something fishy about him. Look into that man. Tell me anything you find out about him.
Yes, Lord Barnier.
Now I'm heading back.
In addition to the renovations for the church and gathering intel on the Far Eastern man, I made sure to keep an eye out for any unusual rumors or happenings outside the city's borders. Of all the reports I received, the one that caught my attention was word of a witch who lived by a lake. This lakeside witch supposedly had miraculous powers, allowing her to cure any ailment, and the effect was transmitted through her blood. This wasn't the first time I had heard of the witch, an elderly woman who prepared and sold medicinal herbs, but I hadn't realized she also traded in miracles. It sounded like a bunch of snake oil to me, but she had allegedly cured a deathly ill young girl and started to make quite a name for herself. But on top of that, they also said the sound of the witch's first cry had ended a years-long drought in the village where she was born. This doesn't bode well. Why not, my lord?
Try using your damn head for once, would you? Two competing denominations forming so close together. You don't see how that could lead to all sorts of headaches? The objective is to unify the people under a single banner, to which I then pledge my support and earn their favor, but that all becomes moot if their faith turns toward this witch. The people do love their heroes and miracles, after all.
It is quite an attractive proposition, I must say.
I'm mocking them, you buffoon.
I beg your pardon.
The chances of it growing into something actually worth worrying about are slim, but better to snuff the flame out before it spreads than sit back and hope it burns itself out.
Shall I deliver an order for her to cease operation, then?
That would be best. Actually, no. I'll deal with this personally. You just keep your mouth shut and do exactly as you're ordered. Nothing more, nothing less. Understood?
Yes, Lord.
To start, summon the man from the church.
A few days later, I was standing face to face with the man in my audience room. He seemed much less personable in person than when I had seen him with the nun. Stone-faced, cold, and faintly smelled of blood. Not that I could actually smell blood, but there was an animalistic air emanating from him. That much I had expected, though. I knew before summoning him that he was anything but a respectable man.
I take it you're the Oriental man who's been seen buzzing around a local church of late? That would be me, yes. What of it? Who do you think you're talking to, you impudent rat? Show some damned respect. Apologies. I'm not very familiar with the local customs or language. Very well, then. You're fortunate I'm such an understanding man. Now, for the reason I called you here. You're the one who killed that cart full of slaves 4 years ago, aren't you? So you know about that. I wasn't actually sure it was you, but now I have confirmation. Since then, one slave of Far Eastern origin has remained unaccounted for. I take it that would be you. That's right. You made one hell of a mess out there. Am I here to be punished? That depends on how our talk goes. If you think I'm going back to being a slave, you're fooling yourself. I don't need any more damn slaves, and I certainly don't want you as one. You're obviously not finding any respectable work being an ex-slave, so I take it you're still in the business of getting your hands dirty, are you not? I assume you're playing cat burglar or something, living off whatever you can swipe from the nearest unlucky bastard. Correct. Isn't it comical, then, that you would choose God's sacred house to stretch your legs in, you filthy dog? I absolutely agree. I thought that would get a reaction out of you, but it seems you've got no bite in you today. Never mind, let's get down to business. You're going to help me out with a little something I'm working on. Help you with what, exactly? Something that's going to make me a lot of money. And if you lend a hand, I'll make sure you're well taken care of, along with the church you're so fond of and the nun you've taken a liking to. That nun of yours has made quite the name for herself. Out in the city proper, people have started calling her the Saintess. They're right about that. She is. The commoners love their heroes and saints. They eat that rubbish right up. But saint or not, you can't simply create food from nothing. Her work is causing financial troubles for the church, is it not? It is, yes. If you help me with this, I'm offering you an entirely new church, one where she has complete control to do as she wishes. She'll make it into the biggest church in the city. She'll be able to help even more people, which should surely please her. What would you have me do? Jumping at the first whiff of scraps? You really are a dog, aren't you? I don't like conversations that overstay their welcome. Fair enough. Then let's get to business. Not far from here lives a witch whose blood has the power to cause miracles. Miracle blood? Sounds like a sham to me. You never know. They say the sound of her first cry brought rain to the land where she was born, saving the whole village from drought. And they say her blood has the power to cure any disease. I'll worry about the veracity of the rumors later. Right now, all I want is for you to capture her and bring her to me. Explain something to me, Lord. You said that if I helped you, the nun would be able to save more people than she does now. So how does capturing this witch accomplish that? I'm glad you know how to listen, dog. We'll be turning the blood into a miracle elixir, which she will then distribute to the patrons of the church. In exchange for tithes, of course. Selling it, then. Selling isn't quite the right word, but if that's how you want to think of it, by all means. The commoner's beloved saintess handing out an all-powerful miracle medicine. They'll lap it up. And in turn, you'll make a fortune. Exactly. Money I can use to support her church. It'll be a boon to the city's economy as well. A single witch's freedom is all it'll cost for everyone here to come out happy. So, what'll it be? Will you help, or will I have to? I'll help. I have no reason not to. Decisive and a good listener. Excellent. Once I've captured the witch, where do I take her? I have a mansion set aside where your nun can run her church. There's an observation tower on the grounds. The witch will be kept locked up there to ensure we have a constant supply of blood. Okay. When do you want me to get her? You're just chomping at the bit now, aren't you? I thought you'd hesitate at least a little, but I guess it was foolish of me to presume to understand how a killer's mind works. All the resources I put into investigating you and everyone close to you were wasted, it seemed. Do you even have a conscience? Don't act like you're any different. I assure you I have a conscience. I wouldn't be doing this if it wasn't necessary for the growth of this city. Jacopo, shut the fuck up, man. Your conscience has withered up and died. No, I mean, you're as much a murderer as me. You would never come up with a scheme like this if your hands were clean. I forgot how much I hate his smile. I looked up and, ugh, don't like that. The man's right. You're nothing but a murderer. How deep has the blood seeped into your hands? How many have you killed, claiming their lives necessary sacrifices? And how many more will die for your ambition? Silent spirit. That poor, poor witch, blessed with the power to perform miracles, only to win her the attention of the villainous lord. It must be done. I don't have to explain myself to you. It's not like the old hag has long to live anyway. What the hell is villainous about having her spend her final days for the greater good of the city? So many lives will be improved at the cost of only one. You keep telling yourself that, boy. But what you're doing is no different than my banquets. You're cut from the same cloth as the man standing before you, and the same cloth as me. Begone, phantom. Watch your mouth, dog. Don't you dare insinuate that I would ever condescend to your level. Damn it. That's the first time he's shown up with someone else around. At least you behaved yourself today. I'm pretty sure you're smarter than most people I deal with. And you won't betray me either. Who knows how much longer he'll live, though. Stay. Don't touch it until I say so. Don't quit pouting at me like that. You're the Lord's dog. Stand tall and proud. Alright, here you are. Drink up. Looks like it's safe. I swear, so much work just to get myself a damn drink of water. You're now using dogs as your poison tester? What the fuck, man? When I heard about the Saintess, I thought it might be you. But it was someone else. I never did get around to resuming the search after Odilon passed. There's no one around I can trust with such a sensitive task. Though it's probably for the best if I never do find you. We can't go back to the way we were before. Not that there's much chance you're even still alive. If, by some strange chance, you are still alive, what would you think of the man I've become? I think we're going to end here for tonight, because I think it's a nice segue. I think we all know what's coming. And if you don't, feel free to watch our stream of the previous game. Because, yeah, I have a feeling we're about to have a little reunion here. Yeah, it really is for the best that he never finds her. But we are ending here for tonight. Next stream is Tuesday, 10 o'clock Eastern, 7 o'clock Pacific. Just as a heads up, Thursday I can't stream. I might move that stream to Wednesday. Just keep an eye out. But I think that's it. I don't have any other announcements. Thanks for hanging out. Below is the links to the YouTube channel. Please like, subscribe, do all of that. But go check out our previous stuff because we've done some fun stuff. And be back on Tuesday. Have a good night, all. Bye.